Hi everyone. So today we have a few guest stars, but we played Sheriff of Nottingham. It is a bluff game. I think it's an accurate description.
It's a party game, and it's good for family events, and that's why we have guest speakers with us here today, commentators. So we brought some of our nieces and nephews here to join us. This is Abby and Tristan. So welcome to the crew.
Tristan.
So
first thing we talk about always is, so we got a good idea. So let's talk about difficulty level. This would be probably an easy game, right?
Well, let's get the people who learned it new to give their feedback on it. What do y'all think? Was it difficult?
It wasn't that hard. I mean, it's a little bit more difficult than like games that you would play, like party games, but it wasn't hard. It's pretty easy.
It's not relatively difficult, I would say. It just takes a little bit of different thinking. You gotta kind of think into perspective, which is probably why I did so bad at it.
I would probably say 12 and up could get it. Maybe 11-year-olds if they're more. I feel like it could be difficult for littler kids, though.
So, on a scale from difficulty from 1 to 10, because we pretty much keep everything on a scale from 1 to 10, what do you think as far as the difficulty level?
4 or 5, it's average. It's not really hard, not really easy.
Yeah, kind of the same as you said, like average.
But I don't play hard games, so.
So I think it depends on your age level. I would rate this one as maybe a 2 to a 3 as far as difficulty goes. From an adult perspective, certainly from a youth perspective, it's probably going to be a little, especially for someone who's not played any games whatsoever, it might be a little bit higher. Like you were saying, middle of range, I think is appropriate.
Yeah, I think I'm with you on there. It's how familiar you are with games. If you are, if you have a firm foundation in games, I do think a 2 or 3 is accurate. But if you're unfamiliar with them, it is middle range. So it's great for those introductory, where you find people that don't necessarily are familiar with games, or you get some of that younger group.
I'll go a little different. I think it's a 3 if just as your standard gamer, but if you got someone that is like brutally honest and they don't know how to lie, it could probably be a little bit tougher for them, because that's what this game's all about. It's not just lying, but lying well and convincing and manipulating. And and I know people that would have a hard time with that.
Yeah.
And so
in our family, we all lie. So it works perfectly well
Hey,
for us.
I did not lie once throughout that whole game. So
You're lying.
But I think it's 3, but it could be a little bit more difficult if you got someone that is, brutally honest person.
All right, so let's talk about quality of pieces. So this is a deluxe version, right? Or did you add all these bags?
This is base. The only thing added is there's some cards that were added and the little miniature. It comes with a bigger cardboard version, but you have to take it apart to put it back in the box, and it's just kind of a nuisance. So, this was cheap, and I found it at a convention, and I always have to have everything, so I got that. It was
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. Okay. So it's fun, but it's not necessary at all to play the game. It's really just bling.
Yeah, I mean you could pimp it out. I guess we get some metal.
Yeah, the actual one is larger, which is actually easier to see, and it's a standee. It's got a little stand. It's pretty, but it's cardboard. It's good quality cardboard. The coins are all cardboard, and they're all good pieces. I typically don't even use these. I usually get out my poker chip coins, but for this game I was just lazy, so we actually played with them, which is unusual, trust me. From a quality standpoint, the big problem with this game is these little sleeves. So they come with these envelopes to stock anytime you're playing. So during the course of the game, you're going to try to smuggle contraband into Nottingham. And there's legal goods that are green and illegal goods which are red. Anything you tell the truth about, you potentially could get rewarded if you're inspected. Anything red, you're going to get penalized if you're lying. Your bags, though, have this really chintzy snap on them that if you seal it, it pretty much will pop right off the bag. So we always recommend don't pop the seal. Now, there's a new version of this game that's come out, and I'm not sure if they improved upon that in the new version.
I thought I saw one version where they did a paper bag, which was even worse.
Oh, wow.
Than that, and I think my buddy had got that.
That's the new one.
Yeah, and
probably.
it was even worse than that. But I've seen where third party where people have made much higher quality bags for the game, and that's where people who just love it. This game, so
Yeah.
So, what would you assess the quality?
Well, let's see. What did the
Yeah.
youngins? Oh, did you guys think about anything about the game pieces? You just think it's
They all seem fine. I'd say the bags, the material felt weird.
Yeah.
Like the fuzzy.
because of the
Kinda-
felt bags.
Yeah, it felt weird touching it, but
Yeah.
that seemed fine. Other than that.
I do see if you got a sensory issue, that might be a sensory thing going on. What'd you think?
Basically my only issue is the bags, like the feeling and the quality, like the little clips.
Yeah.
I like the felt bags. I mean, I wish the clips were better
Yeah.
than what they were, because I think the bags would be fine otherwise, because the cards fit in nicely.
Well, they
come
do
out
and they
nicely.
don't, because the sleeving, that's one thing I ran into. The corners on the sleeves kept catching on the
Because they are sharp,
envelope,
sharp
trying to put them
corners.
in there. So, and I do recommend sleeving this game. There are a lot of cards, and you are going to shuffle them a lot. So, if you want this game to last, you're going to want to sleeve them. But
the art quality is really nice.
oh
though.
yes, very pretty.
So
They're very pretty
the
cards.
art's awesome.
You can
So-
see them or not, but
No,
they're
they can't see you from there.
oh,
so,
there's
so, so, yeah.
there's some of the art.
Oh,
There's
reach.
chickens.
Oh, you can do it.
My old arms are stretching.
Your pterodactyl arms.
Yeah, but the cards are nice, but they're better sleeved
Yeah.
because you're going to be playing. If you play this game a lot, you're going to need that.
So, what do you rate it? Give us a number, guys.
I'd give it a 6.
Yeah,
Just because of art.
if it weren't for the bags, I'd probably rate it higher. But yeah, I'm probably going to give it a 6 on this as well.
I agree. A 6 sounds appropriate. It's
You all have any opinions of?
As far as the number rating. No.
6 sounds good. 6 is better.
Yeah, random number generator. You can pick whatever you like.
I'm gonna just go with the same thing you said.
Yeah,
Okay.
you shouldn't have with the bags.
All right. Next thing we talk about is theme. So, what do you guys think about the theme?
As far as the theme of the gameplay, I think this one does incorporate the theme of Sheriff of Nottingham pretty well. I mean, the whole idea of somebody trying to be evaluating your goods as they come into town, and you're trying to stick them in. It's Robin Hood-ish. It's not heavy on theme, but you know, I can't really think of another theme I could layer onto that, and it would play better than.
It's a light theme, but it's
Yeah.
effective. It's effective.
Yeah, and it plays well with the popularity of Robin Hood and that motif. A lot of like non-heavy gamers are going to get into that. So I personally think it's a good theme for the game.
Yeah, it's an easy theme for people to catch on to, and I think that helps make it more of a beginner game that you can lead people into the hobby.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
So, what would you rate it?
I'd give it an 8 on theme. I think.
I would honestly say like a 9. I think it's a really good.
Okay.
Okay, what do you think?
I'd say 8. It's good.
Okay,
I'd give it a 7.
you can give it a 7.
I'm getting a bad. I used to be the one that was the hard grader, and now you're starting to take that over for me, Rob.
Your Carmungian-ness
I
is
know.
rubbing off on me.
Yeah.
Well, when you start rating more and more games and actually give them a number, I think you get a little more realistic. Because, you encounter a lot of games that are all right, but is there anything that really calls them, especially when you got a collection? So, for those that don't know my husband, we have a collection of over 3,000 now.
It's close to that, yeah. If you include expansions, it is. Well,
If you include expansions, we have over 3,000 board games. So, for us, a game really has to have something very unique for us to really call to it. And I think that you'll find that, especially as we start reading more and more, that I think you'll end up finding that.
this is the overflow behind us.
Yeah. Yes. Actually, it's more of my section of gaming. And maybe Randy will take you for a tour at one point.
Sunday.
If we ever get shelving, yes.
So, but yeah. So anyway, so that is something to keep in mind as we start reviewing. I think you'll see that we're a little more critique-ish. Go through so many.
Hence why we're critiquing.
Yes.
Never made the connection.
You know what I meant. All right. So
Rules.
I would give. Well, I gotta give.
I thought you were done. I'm sorry.
Hers is important.
It is.
I would. Maybe not. I don't know. I think mine's a 7.
Okay.
Or maybe an 8. I'm on the fence. I would be honest.
And now it's not important because you can't make up your mind.
No, I think it is good for the game, and I think it leads people easily into the hobby. So I will give it an 8
Okay.
for it. It is good for what it is. Then obviously rules. It's been a long time since we've read these rules.
Yeah, honestly, there's absolutely nothing I can say bad about these rules. They're very easy to read. They're laid out well. They've got beautiful art from the box. It's the same art, but they have a nice little guide on the back that tells you the quantities of each of the goods and the contraband that started. The thing is, there's been so many promo cards to this game that you can't really use that anymore because we've added so many cards to this. But
I think that's pretty par for the course for Arcane Wonders. They usually do a really good job with their rule books.
Yeah, I this is one of the better rule books out there as far as picking up the game and quickly learning it. It's short enough. It's not gonna, the game's not real complex to begin with, but it's easy to read it. And if you ever reference, it's easy to find what you need, like the starting coins, and they've got large, big coin images to say you get 1 of these and 5 of these and so on. So setup is super easy. As far as my opinion, and I'm hard on rule books, I'm going to give this one a 9.
Okay.
I mean, I hate giving 10s, so I would give it a 10 if it weren't for the fact that I'm just obstinate about that.
Yeah, and I got a question for Abby and Tristan. How hard was it for you to catch on the rules? Like, we talked about difficulty, but was it pretty straightforward, you feel like?
But it seemed kind of confused at first, but I think you picked up on it pretty quick.
I feel like the first round or two,
Uh-huh.
it was easy to catch on. It's just like you have to get in, like all games, you have to start playing before you actually understand what the rules are. So,
Yeah, and I feel like the rules were pretty straightforward. Difficulty-wise, though, most of the difficulty goes, again, towards like whether or not you're good at lying or pulling that off.
Reading people.
Yeah, I think the rules were pretty straightforward. Just, it was more of the stuff that caused difficulty.
but also the bad liars are what makes it fun. Or like the people that are really good liars makes it fun. It's like if you can't tell if you're lying or not, like that part makes it a lot of fun.
So,
Yeah.
I have a personal question for you, Tristan, because this is the second lying game you participated in to this week. This one and Battlestar. Which one would you say is the better game?
In my opinion, I like Battlestar because of its overall theme, and most people, I know a lot of people that would think the time is an issue, but I thought the fact that it dragged on for over 5 hours of us like screaming at each other, I thought that like factor was really fun. So I don't know.
I'll pay you $10 after.
All right, let's get back to Sheriff of Nottingham. Poor Gabe's getting overshined over here. But so, rating wise, what would you rate the rules?
I would say an 8.
I think I'll agree with a 9. I'll go with Randy on this one. I think they were fine. They were easy. They're straightforward. So I think that's very good. So overall gameplay, I think this one's fun. I mean, if you like bluffing games, this is definitely one to have in your collection, especially to introduce people to the concept.
I mean, it's easy to pick up. It's easy to introduce to non-gamers and get them involved. And it's something that it's not. I mean, if you're not a gamer, it's not something that is going to turn you off. The theme's fun. The gameplay is just about bluffing and lying. And even if you're not a gamer, those kind of games are fun. I mean, party games. This is basically a party game. Plays up to 5, and so it's not a large party game. But it is something that's quick to get to the table, get out, explain rules, and start playing. Obviously we're having Thanksgiving here, and it's a lot of family here, so it's something that we can get out easily and onto the table and enjoy without interruption for too long. So it's for what it is, like you said, it is a great game and one you should definitely include in your collection.
Yeah.
My review would be biased because I love the bluffing games. I know those are really popular right now, especially with like Among Us and all those types of games. And one of my favorite board game is Werewolf, and this is kind of similar to that. You're trying to, not really, but it's kind of like the same concept. You try to figure out who's lying.
Yep.
So I really think these types of games are a lot of fun, and I really think these are better for younger audiences too, because I feel like the other games are harder to get into for younger audiences, but like the bluffing games where it's fun and you're like trying to figure out, yell at each other, trying to figure out more about the players than like the game.
Right now I'm over to $10 too.
So what did you think, Tristan, about overall gameplay?
As everyone probably knows, but from this week, I really like these kind of games. What I like the most about this game is that it introduced the fact that, like, because a lot of kind of bluffing games, when people have their eyes on you, there's not, like, very good ways, I guess, to take it off, and usually you get the blame. I like how this added, like, where you could bet on other people, or, like, give bribes for them to pick someone else and not pick you. I thought that was fun. That's also what made me lose. But probably just because I was having so much fun with it. So.
Yeah.
I also like the fact that you get to choose whether or not you're the liar. Because I know most games you're assigned, you're the liar, you're not. I like how everybody could be the liar all at once and none of us know it.
You know, that is something. I think that's very true. A lot of the bluffing games I don't particularly care for because I'm assigned a role. And I think you hit it spot on. You get to choose whether you get to be the liar or not. And that is something for this game that I think that's why this is one of my more favorite bluffing games.
Yeah, and you get to read, you kind of got to read the opponents and try to say, okay, well, I think they're not going to call me out if I do it. And, you know, so it's kind of got an element of poker in that sense because you're gambling against the other people. You're not playing the cards, you're playing the people, you know, and it's an element of the game that is unique that I don't think there's too many of the bluffing games that have, as you point out. That was a really good point.
That is a really good point.
I feel like when you have one or two specific people that are going to be the liars, it's way easier to point them out. It's way easier to be like, okay, we're halfway throughout the game. I know it's you guys.
Yeah.
But this way it changes every round.
Yeah, I think that is a really good point. So, what would we rate it for overall gameplay?
Our guests read it first.
Sure. What do you rate it?
I rate it a 7 or 6.
Okay. What do you think?
I rate it 7 or 8. It's a lot of fun.
Okay.
I like it.
What about you, Robert?
Not that I wasn't important enough to give my opinion on overall gameplay.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
but I'm not as important as you are,
No,
so that's
no,
okay.
no.
But, I don't love the game. I like it. I enjoy it. I'll play it whenever anybody else plays it. But social deduction games has never been one of my favorite style of games. So overall gameplay, I would give it a 6. I like it. I'll play it, but I don't love it.
Yeah, I agree. I'm a 6 as well. If I'm going to play a bluffing game, this is the game I want to play. But again, it's not my kind of game. But if we're going to play a bluffing game,
this should be it.
This is the one I'm going
Because
to play.
I would play this in a heartbeat before Werewolf. I hate Werewolf. I hate it. It's a stupid game.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
What about you, Randy? What was your overall? What is your score?
I personally think, as far as bluffing games go, because of its unique aspects, that it's higher than what you guys are giving it. I wouldn't go as high as Battlestar by any means, obviously. But
Really?
you know, I'm going to give it as an 8. I think, as far as I think it's a good game. It's introduced a lot of people into that have come over the time we've had it into gaming. You know, it's not something that you can't just weigh it for what it is as far as the play. I think its purpose is for light gaming and for bringing people in, and it does it well. It's not it's not something that as heavier gamers that we are now that we get to the table very often because of the fact that we've got so much better games that we prefer.
But my score is not based off of that. My score is just I'm not a social deduction type player.
Right.
I dislike those kind of games, but I agree with Miranda. If I was going to pick one, this would be it.
Right.
Yeah. So, and I think that's something that when you say it's like a 6 with an asterisk. Like if we have to pick a bluffing game,
this is number 1.
this is number 1 for us, even though it's just not our cup of tea, and that's okay. So,
What was
Now-
your score? You said an
oh
eight?
yeah,
Yeah, I
This
said
is
it.
eight.
Okay.
now we're gonna, as a whole, I guess we're gonna change it up a little bit. We're gonna rate the game overall, including every aspect of the game, rating it that way. So we're gonna add gameplay.
I still don't know about this one, but okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm a little nervous about this too, but we'll give it a shot. Overall rating,
Overall, I think I'd give it a 6.
6.
I struggle with this because now I'm comparing it to abstract games,
Right.
advanced games. To me, it's not a fair assessment. No matter what, it's not going to be in the right ballpark.
Mhm.
There's just no way to do this validly. I don't think. I think while I understand where you're coming from, I think it is a bad idea for gaming. I'm gonna give this one a 7, mostly because it's the first one we're doing this with, and I don't know that we're gonna stick with this, but if we do, I don't want to go too high because I want to leave room above it, but I also don't think it's fair to give it that low. Because
Right.
again, I set my standard based on 5 being Catan because it's about the most vanilla game that I could come up with, and it's well known. And if I set 5 as Catan, this is way better than Catan in my opinion. And I'm going to put it at a 7 and go from there, but that would push Battlestar to a 34.
So I'm gonna do it based off of like all of the other ratings we did and kind of combine and give like an overall score based
Uh-huh.
on everything else.
Yeah,
so.
but math's hard, so I can do that.
Yeah, but then you're going to have to apply weighted average and do rotations and all kinds of stuff.
Right.
It's probably...
You know,
Just basic.
Okay.
And I'll give it probably overall 8. It's good. It's
Okay.
fun. The art's pretty.
what do you think, Tristan?
I don't know, kind of like Randy said, I don't know if I could give it an overall score with like every game, because if every single game in different categories have its own like aspects that I like about them, but
You have to give it a score.
yeah, probably like a 7.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. I think 7's a good number. And like I said, if it is a bluffing game that I have to play, this is the one I'm going to pick up. So I don't think it's fair to give it a 5 or a 6, but I really can't go any higher because this is not my cup of tea. So I do think that that's an accurate assessment. But the true test of time is, would you play it again?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Sure.
So, any other comments before we wrap this up?
This game is better for younger audiences. I guess younger audiences tend to go towards more of the bluffing games than.
No, I know a lot of people that cherish this game. Our good friend Jonathan.
No, I'm good
loves
with this.
game.
Younger audiences go for bluffing games.
I say this is a good way to bring.
But
kids
but
into
but it
gaming.
is
Yeah,
it
I
is-
think
it
that's
is a
right.
great
My
intro.
game.
It is a really good intro
It's a
game.
great intro. game.
This needs to be in people's collections for that very purpose. I mean, and I think that's very true.
I own it. I mean, and again, like I said, it's not my favorite type of game, but I own it for that reason, because if I have people who never played a board game, I can go to this game and teach it to them, and I know they'll like it.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that one. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. A little holiday edition for Thanksgiving. We hope to see you back. Don't forget to press the subscribe button and the notification bell. We hope to see you guys again. Bye.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah.